Does your brain freeze when someone speaks to you in English? You understand everything, but you just can't respond. Here's what's really happening, and this might surprise you. Your brain isn't broken. You're not slow. You're not bad at English. What's happening is actually a normal survival response that your brain uses to protect you. But it's protecting you from the wrong thing. Let me explain what I mean. Picture this. You're at a coffee shop, feeling pretty good about your English. You've been practicing, you know the words, you're ready. Then the cashier says something simple like, "Hi there, what can I get for you today?" Suddenly, your mind goes blank. You know exactly what they said, you know exactly what you want to order, but nothing comes out. You just stand there like a deer in headlights and finally mumble something like, uh, coffee, please? Sound familiar? This happened to me all the time. The cashier is looking at you, maybe other people are waiting behind you, and you feel like everyone is judging your English. Your heart starts beating faster, your palms get sweaty, and your brain just shuts down completely. So what's really going on here? Your brain has two main systems for processing information. The first system is fast and automatic. It's the one you use when you speak your native language. The second system is slow and requires effort, and this is what kicks in when you try to speak English. When someone talks to you in English, your brain suddenly has to work much harder. It needs to process their words, understand the meaning, think of a response, check the grammar, worry about pronunciation, and do all of this while the person is waiting for you to answer. That's a lot of pressure on your brain. And when your brain feels overwhelmed, it does what it's designed to do. It freezes to protect you from making mistakes. But here's the problem. This freeze response actually makes everything worse. The more you freeze, the more anxious you become about speaking English. The more anxious you become, the more likely you are to freeze next time. It's a terrible cycle. I used to think there was something wrong with me. I could watch English movies, read English books, even think in English sometimes. But put me in front of a real person who wanted to have a conversation, total freeze. I remember one embarrassing moment at work. My colleague asked me, "How was your weekend?" Such a simple question. I knew exactly how to answer. I had interesting things to share, but when I opened my mouth, nothing came out. I just stared at him for what felt like forever, then said, "Good," and walked away quickly. That night, I realized something important. The problem wasn't my English skills. The problem was that I was trying to be perfect instead of trying to communicate. See, when native speakers talk, they're not thinking about grammar rules or perfect pronunciation. They're just sharing ideas. But when we speak English as a second language, we put enormous pressure on ourselves to get everything right. And that pressure is what causes the freeze. So how do you break this cycle? How do you stop your brain from shutting down every time someone talks to you? First, you need to understand that freezing is not a language problem. It's an anxiety problem. And anxiety problems have specific solutions. Step 1. Change your goal. Instead of trying to speak perfect English, try to communicate one simple idea. That's it. Just one idea. Not perfect grammar, not perfect pronunciation, just one clear idea. When someone asks, "How was your weekend?" you don't need to give a perfect, detailed answer. You can just say, "It was relaxing," or "pretty busy," or "really fun." That's enough. You communicated. Mission accomplished. Step 2. Use the bridge technique. When someone asks you a question and your mind goes blank, buy yourself some time. Say something like, "That's a good question," or "Let me think about that," or well, these phrases give your brain a few extra seconds to process and prepare. They're like bridges that help you cross from hearing the question to giving your answer. Step 3. Accept imperfection. This is the hardest one, but it's the most important one. You have to give yourself permission to make mistakes. Native speakers make mistakes all the time. They say and sometimes forget words or use the wrong grammar. The goal is communication, not perfection. I started practicing this mindset in low-pressure situations. When I bought groceries, instead of preparing perfect sentences in my head, I would just focus on communicating what I needed. I need milk. Instead of worrying about whether I should say, "I would like to purchase some milk, please." And you know what happened? People understood me perfectly. And more importantly, I didn't freeze. Here's another powerful technique: the repetition method. When someone asks you something, repeat part of their question back to you. If they ask, "What do you think about this weather?" you can start your answer with, "The weather, well, I think..." This does two things. First, it gives your brain time to process. Second, it confirms that you understood the question correctly. But here's the most important thing I learned. The person talking to you wants the conversation to succeed. They're not your enemy. They're not judging every word you say. They just want to communicate with you. Most native speakers are actually very patient with language learners. They understand that English is difficult. They appreciate that you're making the effort to speak their language. They want to help you succeed. The freeze response makes you feel like everyone is watching and judging, but that's just your anxiety talking. In reality, most people are just happy to have a conversation. Now, let me give you a specific exercise that will help you overcome the freeze response. It's called the good enough practice. For the next week, every time you have to speak English, remind yourself that good enough is good enough. Don't aim for perfect. Don't aim for impressive. Just aim for good enough to communicate. If someone asks you, "How are you?" and you want to say, "I'm doing well, thank you for asking," but you freeze, just say, "I'm good." That's good enough. If someone asks, "What did you do this weekend?" and you want to tell them about your interesting activities, but you can't find the perfect words, just say, "I relaxed at home." That's good enough. The more you practice accepting good enough, the less your brain will feel the need to freeze and search for perfection. Remember, every conversation is practice. Every interaction makes you a little bit better. You don't have to be perfect today. You just have to be a little bit braver than yesterday. And here's something that might surprise you. The more you accept your imperfect English, the better your English actually becomes. When you stop freezing, you start flowing. When you start flowing, you start improving. So here's your challenge. The next time someone speaks to you in English and you feel that freeze response starting, take a deep breath and remind yourself, I don't need to be perfect. I just need to communicate one simple idea. Then share that one simple idea, even if it's not exactly what you wanted to say, even if the grammar isn't perfect, even if you forget some words. Communication is more important than perfection. Connection is more important than correctness. Your English is good enough for conversations. Your ideas are worth sharing, and the person talking to you wants to understand what you have to say. So, stop freezing. Start communicating. Your future confident self is waiting for you on the other side of that fear. Until next time, Keep practicing, keep improving, and remember, you're braver than you think you are.